It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was a right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized in this. Get right on it, Chief.
Not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Free at last! Free at last! Thanks Almighty! We are free at last!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
Hey, welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. I'm Alan Autry, so honored and humbled to have you here, where this station is totally 100% committed to faith, family, and freedom, principles which this country was based upon, which we will never, ever, ever, ever get tired of speaking up for and defending at KXEX, and especially on this show. I don't know if you heard the Rudy Giuliani show. He came on board, and I tell you, whether you love him, hate him, in between, whatever, I didn't know how Rudy was going to do, because people think they want to be behind the mic, and until you get behind the mic, you got to fill an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And I know my first stint at this, the good ones make it, sound easy. And you get in here, and it's like the big doo-doo. You know what I'm saying? But Rudy did I thought, a really good job. He's got a wealth of information. This guy, Jose, Rudy Giuliani. Got to know him after 9/11. We did the 9/11 memorial out here, and I was honored to MC it. Dave McDonald, may he rest in peace, asked me to do that. And Rudy Giuliani came out later on. But Rudy Giuliani has been widely regarded as being the key figure in breaking up the mafia in New York. The mafia as we know it. There's still mafioso there. They're still rolling around there, but their overall power has been diminished greatly thanks in no little part to Rudy Giuliani and his use of these so-called RICO laws. So, I mean, he goes way back with just so much interesting stuff, 9/11, stuff with Trump, the Hunter Biden laptop that when they raided Giuliani's house, they took everything except the Hunter Biden laptop, which Giuliani was telling, hey, take that, Mr. Agent, take that. And the agent looked at, what is it? It's a Hunter Biden laptop. He goes, no, we're not taking that, which should send a red flag of some sort up. But anyway, I think he did a good job, and I think Guillermo Moreno, the big kahuna here, the young big kahuna, young, good-looking, great hair, great talker, handsome young man. Gosh, I think I hate him. No, I love him. I love my Guillermo Moreno, but he brought on Giuliani, so he'll follow this show, I think, today, right, Jose? I think we've got another installment. So mayor, back to back. Okay, before we delve into the subjects here at hand, I want to address some of the critics of the show on Friday, because it's time for the old Okie in the saddle here, walk his talk. Because from the very first show that I did here at KXCX, I said we were going to welcome all opinions, as long as you don't come on this show and cuss and act out and just act a fool. Break some FCC laws where we have to cut you off. And, if you have input, whether I agree with it or not, and that doesn't mean you can't call and be passionate about something, even something that goes against what I may believe. You're welcome on this show. No show that I know of on radio or television. Now, I do believe there's a few podcasts that have been able to make it and stay on that have really tried to be fair and balanced in their approach to things. I have my own biases. I say it freely. I am not a reporter. I'm just, for this hour, I'm just a talk show host with an opinion. And I'll tell you that opinion. I'll tell you if I think my opinion's rooted in a lot of facts that I've researched, some facts, no facts, just a gut feeling. I hope I'll do my best to keep that promise to you. And I also said from the get-go that if you disagreed with me, you have a right to speak up. And this last show, we got a big response. We talked about Joe Biden and his performance, if you will, and also the January 6th, I don't know if you call it, it's not a trial. I don't know what you call it. It's a hearing. Well, it's not a hearing because in hearings, you have the opposing view. You have everybody in there, even those that go counter to what you're trying to prove or what allegation you're putting forth. So I really don't even know what the January 6th whole thing is. The Thursday, and I'm not trying to be demeaning, but the Thursday rollout was promoted by Liz Cheney and the organizers of January 6th. This is a quote from them now. It's going to be like a Netflix series. This is their exact words. We're going to have one show, then we're going to have 5 more installments. And if you've watched any Netflix, there's a lot of shows on like that. 6 shows, 8 shows, 9 shows, 10 shows. And they hired a Hollywood producer, former ABC guy, to produce it. And it looked exactly like, I predicted on that Wednesday. I said, what you're going to see is a lot of video in tight. I know how they shoot this stuff to make the chaos look even worse than it is. And it was bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm just giving you, see, we all have narratives in our mind. Sometimes when information doesn't hit the narrative, you get frustrated and you get ticked off and you get mad at me. And I've taken great pains when I explain this to say, hey, this is my opinion. This is my conclusion. This is my deduction. Or I'm just putting it on the table for discussion. And that's what I tried to do on Friday. I did take some positions on things, and obviously, we'll get into that. Some people didn't like that. Some people threatened, I'm not going to watch you anymore. I'm not going to listen to you anymore, which is, you're right. You have absolutely right to turn that dial over to Kino, KMJ, the cooking channel, whatever. You have the right to do that. I just hope that you understand that I am going to be me, not out of, hey, dig me, I'm me. Out of, hopefully, I can be a voice of reason to help bring people together, that you can get opposing views to come together, discuss subjects, maybe in a very passionate way, to have good, hard, strong debate, and in many cases, heated debate. That's okay. I mean, that's what this country was based upon. Heated debate. When those founding fathers got in that building and they closed the door, they didn't have somebody delivering them pizza, to eat. They said, hey, we're going to stay in here till we knock out a constitution for this new country that we've just won our independence, that we won independence from England. And I want this show to be that. I'm certainly not going to count you out, not put you on the air, or want you to not listen. And here he is. I got to preface this because I'm going to tick off some people on the right. I'm not criticizing those who watch Dan Bongino. I think Dan Bongino, who I think precedes our show here, does a great job at articulating passionately his position on things. Okay? We just have different styles sometimes, a lot of the time. He freely expresses his distaste for liberals, liberal thought, liberal ideas. I wouldn't say he knows no boundaries. He does, but he's not above name calling people idiots and so on and so forth. That's Dan's style. There's folks on the right, folks on the left. That's his, and he's welcome to it. And as I said, I try to separate the wheat from the chaff, the style from the personality from the policy. That's what I did with Trump, because I care about the policies more than I do the personality. I'm sorry. I care about policies that affect us, our kids, the price of food on our that's out there, or the schools our kids go to, the wars that these politicians send our national treasure, our young people off to fight. Those policies mean more to me than a guy's person or a woman's personality. That's just how I'm wired. I played for a lot of coaches that I didn't like, and they were good coaches because you know what? They prepared me for the game. And as a quarterback, that was a health issue. If you weren't prepared for that game, you were the target of that defense. If you weren't prepared for that game, as I said, it was a health issue. And there was a lot of coaches that I personally didn't like the personality. I didn't like the language. I didn't like how they approach things. But dadgummit, they could get you prepared for the game. The policy. You're going to go play the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to be able to prepare you the best that I can to win. And the offensive line to protect you when they're blitzing from all sides. I'm kind of like that with politicians. I want the policy has to come first. Whether the person says, please, thank you, or I wish my politicians wouldn't use foul language. But dadgummit, if I go in and I have I'm getting operated on, I'm in open heart surgery, and I have a choice between a doctor who's very polite, doesn't cuss, just somebody you just want to hang out in that finished, 90th in their class of 100 in heart surgery, as opposed to the other doctor who cusses like a sailor but finished number 1 and has never lost a patient on the operating table. I'm going to go with the guy with the foul mouth. And I'd want my kids to do the same thing. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? So when we talk about Trump, I got in a lot of trouble with supporting Clinton. When he went over with Newt Gingrich and they formed, the welfare to work, got more people out of poverty onto jobs and into jobs than any time in history. I said Clinton deserves credit for that. Oh, God, did I take it? Oh, my gosh. It was like you said that Clinton was an angel, that Clinton was the second coming of Ronald Reagan. I just simply said he did the right thing by partnering with Newt and doing welfare to work reform, which got, as I said, changed the lives for the better of millions of people mired in poverty that have jobs today and their kids have jobs today because of that. That didn't mean I supported Clinton's pro-choice position, but I supported Clinton's, a lot of his other policies. But I was able to say, hey, in that regard, his policies, I have to pick over his personality. Do I agree with what he did in the Oval Office in the West Wing? That was a character thing. We know what that is. I don't need to be salacious. We know what happened there. It was wrong. That demeaned the office. It was horrible. But that doesn't make what he did from welfare to work bad. So I can say, good job over here, Clinton. Horrible, horrible mistake over here. I'm sorry. That's just the way I was raised. So blame my mama and daddy. They believed in giving people a fair shake. They believed in treating people, making your own opinion about someone, not listening. You know what my mom, I was thinking about this the other day. My mom, Robert Bullet Bob knew her well. He would attest to this. And a lot of people think about their mothers like I do, just short of angelic. Hardest working woman I ever met in my life. Rosie the Riveter during World War II, and just taught me just how to be a good person. I didn't always live up to those qualities that she had, but thank goodness I had her as a role model. And she didn't speak out against people. She just wouldn't say bad things about anybody, even when they deserved it. She would just stay quiet. Now, she wouldn't falsely praise somebody who deserved criticism, but she just wouldn't say anything. And she was always there with words of encouragement for people. People used to come, neighbors, and certainly family. She come from a family of 13 brothers and sisters. They always come to Verna for advice. But one thing she detested, and that was gossip. She hated gossip with a passion. And there was a lady there in the little town of Riverdale, 2,200 people. And yeah, that little town had gossipers. And this lady would constantly try to come over to Mom, want to talk about the people of the town. And Mom would just listen, wouldn't say anything. And finally, I was in the other room and I heard her say this. The lady came over, who otherwise a good lady, a nice lady, but she just gossiper. And she was on about somebody having an affair with so-and-so and their kids. And my mom said, I won't say her name. She says, let's just pray. Hope they get it. That was it. And the lady kept wanting to talk, and she says, I don't really care to talk about them anymore. And, when I hear things about people, whether it be Trump, whether it be Pelosi, whether it be Jim Jordan, whether it be Kevin McCarthy, I'm using this now, my political persuasion, how this affected my attitude towards politics and people in general, but even in politics. I do my own research with folks. Somebody can tell me this individual Satan, this individual caused January 6th, this individual caused this and that. I'm going to do my own research, because what I found is what you find in the media is a lot of gossip that nobody really knows for sure, but it's repeated over and over as if it is a fact, a known fact. And you see people get unfairly attacked. And again, I'm not saying Trump didn't earn some of this. He certainly did. And I want to get to this, to the folks that had some problems with this. And with me on Friday, I hope to clear it up a little bit. What I said, what I didn't say. And I'll own up to what I said. Now, I'm not above misspeaking sometimes. There's been some times where I've said, listen, I didn't say that. I go back, look at the tape, and I go, wow, I didn't mean to say that. And I got to correct myself because I what they call misspoke. And there's been times where I said this. I tell the people when they said, no, you didn't say that. And I've gone back and looked at it, heard it. And said, well, no, there it is. I did say what I thought I said. One thing good about getting old, there's no such thing as reruns. No, it's my old joke. I've used it about 10 times. But we're going to take a break right now. I've gone a little bit long in this opening segment. We come back. I'm going to address Leslie. I hope you're still watching, because you threatened. No, Leslie didn't. But Karen said, I'm not going to watch your show again or listen to it. Hopefully you're back. I hope you stay. And Leslie and Rod, they had a few problems with what I said, and I'd just like to discuss that further when we come back. And also what I said about the Pope. People are hopping mad about the Pope. This is Alan Aury, No Retreat. We'll be right back. Well, we got a beautiful day here in Fresno today. Usually middle of June, close to the middle of June as we are now. It is just so hot you can fry an egg on the hood of a car. But it's only 87 degrees. Really nice little breeze blowing. It's nice. I think we got somebody at the door there, Mr. Monroy. I don't know if you're expecting him or not. Maybe not. Maybe it's somebody out to get me for last Friday's show. No. Okay. He's walking away. Watch, you never know.
I think he's just checking out the place.
Yeah, I'm just watching. Yeah, famous last words. Sit in the hospital with a bullet in your head. Yeah, I thought he was just checking out the place. That's what I say. Oh, we got a crazy world. Crazy world we're living in. But what's new? What's new? The world has been crazy for a long time. Started with Adam and Eve, and it just gotten crazier and crazier ever since. So we just got to learn to navigate that craziness, with the good Lord being our guide, doing unto others as we would have them do unto us. Use that golden rule, even when it's tough and difficult, loving the unlovable. Doesn't mean you don't express your mind now. I mean, you don't take some, call out bad behavior and really hold people accountable, and people holding me accountable. That's different. Then you can do that if your heart's right when you do it, because you do it and you don't do it out of revenge or to demonize. You do it out of good, strong discussion of ideas, of which in the Bible the Lord said, let's sit down and reason. I believe that's what he meant by that. And I think he doesn't mind that at all. People sit down and say, even when people said, I don't believe in God. Well, let's sit down and reason, talk about that.
1 minute.
1 minute, we'll be back. Social media, folks. Autry's Army. We're small, but we're tough. We're growing every day. Appreciate y'all so much.
Hey, the audience been liking that little clip at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, the football stuff too. Hey, that was my one pass. That I had one perfect pass in my career. That was it. You watched that. That's Brady-esque. I'd never matched it before or after against Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. And I put it all together for at least one time. I was in quarterback bliss. Touchdown, 35 yards on the rope, perfect form. I didn't have great form. All with my arm. I didn't have the hip, but I had on that throw. Hey, if you watch Brady, it's hip action. That's why his arm never wears out at 45. You think he's going to play until he's 50?
Of course.
You think he is?
5 seconds.
All right, 5 seconds. Oh, yeah.
You're listening to the Alan Autrey Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
Yeah. What it is ain't exactly clear. But Jose, there's a man with a gun over there. You know what he's telling me?
Telling me
I got to beware.
I think it's time we
Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. All right, Leslie, Rod, Karen, I love you guys. Don't leave the show. All right, I got some, and thank you for going on the show on social media, on my Facebook page. Rod thought that I was, first of all, that I said that Biden was the head of a crime family. I didn't mean to say, I don't recall saying that. Somebody may have said that. I may have said, yeah, whatever. But I'm not ready to go there. I do think the evidence is overwhelming that there was money being made by his family from unscrupulous situations, as many do, politicians and ex-politicians, to make a ton of money out of Saudi Arabia, ton of money out of Iran, ton of money out of Ukraine, not all, but a lot of it out of defense contracts, and they give plausible deniability. So certainly, if Biden's part of a crime family, there's a lot of families out there on both sides, Republican, Democrat, they're out there. He's not the Lone Ranger. So anyway, let me clear that up. But I didn't say emphatically he is. I may have said something like There's a lot of evidence out there that money was exchanged from very iffy sources that could compromise him. And I stand by that. The whole Ukrainian thing, the Russian thing, all that. Saudi Arabia. When you do that type of business, talking about that amount of money into the multiple billions of dollars, you always have to consider that there might be a compromise of individuals in that. That's just human nature. And I think anybody from both sides of the aisle, no matter what your political persuasion, they're really honest with themselves, would not in agreement with that. I was also, and what was the other criticism? Aaron said, well, I think about January 6th. Let me just tell you where I stand on January 6th. Well, first of all, from these three folks and some other folks, they think that I don't criticize Trump, that I'm just a Trump lover. I'm a MAGA person. I don't even know what the MAGA person is. I would think probably would be one who would vote for Trump regardless of what he did, regardless of what his policies are, regardless of anything, just like some folks would vote for Nancy Pelosi on the left. I'm assuming that's what people think that is, and that's not what I am. If Trump would have come in and opened the borders, if he would have bowed to dictators around the country, if he would have become pro-choice, if he would have come and suddenly during COVID just went and hid from the whole world, I would have said, no, I don't support him. He needs to go on so many multiple fronts that I could base that decision on. But I don't know if you've heard me say many times, much to Guillermo Moreno's chagrin, I don't believe Trump should run again in 2024. Why? I don't think it's good for the country. So I don't agree with some of his policies. I do. I don't agree with a lot of the way he handled himself, but he did take on the media. Somebody had to take on the media because they had intimidated every conservative politician before Trump into absolute silence, including one of the people I supported, George W. Bush. They ran him into the White House where he never stuck his head out for 3 years. And the people that were supporting him were left having to face the cameras. And I'm going, George, where are you, Mr. President? Now, I still love George Bush. I think he did a lot of good things I don't agree with. But I don't think Trump, I think we don't need that kind of divisiveness. I think he could be more value to the country that he loves on the sidelines. And I don't believe that. But people don't seem to bring that up when they're criticizing me about my position on January 6th. So let me get to my position. I see Laura, we got Lane. I'm going to get to you. Let me just lay this out as quickly as possible. There's a lot of these things about January 6th I just simply don't understand. At the top of this show, I shared with you one of the things I don't understand. I don't know what the committee is. I really don't know what its end result is trying to accomplish. It appears to me that you look at the situation where Liz Cheney and Nancy Pelosi did not allow any true voice of opposition, say like a Jim Jordan, onto the committee. They get a Adam Kinzinger, a El Camino Republican, on there who hated Trump from the get-go. Liz Cheney, who hated Trump ever since he criticized, unmercifully, by the way, her daddy, and he was in the doghouse from that point on. Cheney family's very vindictive on any kind of criticism, extremely vindictive. And that comes from a lot of empirical evidence and that I know personally. So I feel comfortable in saying that. So there's no voice and in there that would ask the tough questions, not necessarily be an advocate for Trump. You shouldn't be there even if you're a Republican. You want to get to the truth. And what was the truth? I guess you go through the morass, all of the politics in there, and you kind of come up with a couple of conclusions that you think, because it's never been made clear what the January 6th Commission's tried to do, is did Trump knowingly cause the attack on the Capitol? Was it pre-planned? What did he know? When did he know it? And did he stoke it? Did he encourage people to go in there, break down the barricades, and go in and occupy the Capitol? Is he responsible for all of this? I guess is what they're trying to do. But Liz Cheney has come out and said it out loud that would not be enough. She said very early on, before she heard any evidence, January 6th commission. By the way, the DOJ investigated it. The FBI investigated it and said there was no connection between Trump or anybody else in terms of elected office holders that were responsible for this. It was Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, and some other folks. That was the FBI's conclusion. They stand by that today. So you had two agencies who that is their job, that is their expertise to investigate things like this, came out and said there's nobody, Trump or anybody else. It's an outside job. It's a groups that got together and made the plan and did it. That wasn't enough for Liz Cheney. She had to put a commission together. She felt they were more gifted in investigative matters. They had more abilities and resources than the FBI and the DOJ. Try to figure that out, how the commission would have that. But she said, we need to have a January 6th. Now, remember this, because you don't see this much on the mainstream media. She came out and said prior to this January 6th commission that her goal was to make sure that Donald Trump never could run for office again. That was her stated goal before she heard any of the evidence, before she saw any of the tape. Outside of what the media had, she didn't have access to all the other stuff at that time. Before she talked to any witnesses, she made it clear what her goal was for this commission: to be judge, jury, and executioner of Donald J. Trump. Now, if you don't think that's going to skew a commission, that's not going to slant a commission, and a commission, by the way, that still purports itself to be dedicated to finding the truth. And that's a bunch of hogwash. I know that's going to make Karen mad and Rod mad. Get mad at Liz Cheney and these other folks, because there could have been a good place for January 6th if they would have done it right. Put somebody, a firebrand, on there. Then you would have said, okay, at least you got a Jim Jordan in there. At least we can believe that. Let them grill the witnesses. What are we afraid of? What are you afraid of? A question that Jim Jordan's going to ask of the Capitol Police. So he wants to have Nancy Pelosi come on and say why she refused to take Trump's offer of bringing in the National Guard. Why would you not want him there to question Nancy Pelosi? She was part of all of January 6th. Why wouldn't you want that if your goal was to find the truth? But as it went on, it was obvious. And I just have to tell you this. I don't know you folks' background, how you're raised or whatever. But I tell you, there's a lot of politicians, mostly on the left. There's some on the right, mostly on the left, from this woke ideology, that think the American people are dumb as freaking doornails. They think if I don't have an Ivy League degree, or those folks down there, I use this a lot as an analogy. The guy working down there on Dakota Avenue here in Fresno on a body shop, getting grease all over him every day to support his family, going to work even when they're feeling sick because he or she's got a family to support. They think they're dumb. And I got news for them. Just because they had to drop out of school to support their family, that does not make them dumb. They're some of the smartest people you want to find, and they know when they're being manipulated. They know when they're being talked down to. They know when they've been taken for granted. And that's what this commission, when you think you can throw something together like this, rig it, here's that word, rig, but it is. This January 6th commission is a farce just on that point alone. Get rid of any real opposing voice or voice other than what you've made your mind up that the outcome has to be. Trump being identified as the instigator of January 6th, and make sure he has criminal charges brought against him and anybody else who helped them. If it doesn't fit that narrative, or if there's a voice that could threaten that predetermined narrative, they don't get to be a part of the commission. There's never been a commission like this. And then you get up there and call it bipartisan when you have Liv Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. How dare these people? How dare they do this and think so little of the American people? And when they see the surveys, the polls, and they see after this display, this little production on Thursday, that it didn't move the needle one iota on what people think about January 6th in any way, shape, or form, they remain astonished. They say, well, wait till installment 2, 3, 4, and 5. We show them more of this. Then that guy down there at the body shop who was going to support Trump is going to say, well, golly, thanks, Liz. I didn't know that Trump caused all that stuff. I was going to vote for him. Now I'm going to be on your side because you show my eyes have been opened. Now I want this orange-haired sucker to go to jail. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Adam Kinzinger, for showing me what I needed to know. What arrogance. I know I went over the top on that, but not much at all. They think they're trying to get to what they call the idiot constituency. The Walmart shoppers that they think they may have a chance with. They say, let's get in. First of all, to think that everybody voted for Trump is a Walmart shopper. By the way, you'll see as many Mercedes parked out at front of Walmart as you will used Toyotas with 300,000 miles on them, okay? Let's get that straight. You live in your cocoons, you people, and you put together this commission, and people get on me because I criticize it together. I was in this business for 8 years, spent a lot of time as mayor of Fresno in Washington, D.C., in these commissions. I was appointed to these commissions. I know I can smell it from the get-go when the fix is in, when there's not a real search for the truth. Give me a freaking break. Liz Cheney had a chance to put together a real commission that people could really believe in and be interested in. And this show could have been captivating if she would have been honest in her intentions. She wasn't. Pelosi wasn't. Kissinger wasn't. Adam Schiff wasn't. None of those people were. So, again, Trump, if it's proven that he initiated this, he called the old Proud Boys and said, hey, brothers, sisters, go hit that Capitol. I got your back. Go in there. By the way, can you call the old dude, the guy with the Viking horns? Make sure he goes with you. And you guys make sure you break in there and try to go in there and make sure you hang Mike Pence, find Nancy Pelosi and hold her hostage. You show me that email. You let me hear that tape or anything close to it. Anything close to it. Then I'm open to change my mind. But outside of that, I've never seen so little tried to make into so much, such little of a molehill. See people put everything they had in to make it a mountain, to just scream at people, please be interested in this, when we said we're not. We're interested because gas is going up to $8 a gallon and we can't afford it. Food is going up, we can't afford it. You got families literally that are not going to be able to put the amount of food on their table. Now they got shrinkflation, where you're going to pay inflated prices for stuff, but there's going to be less of it in the package. You get double whammied. That's what people are interested in. Fold this sideshow Barnum and Bailey circus called January 6th. Fold it, kick it out, forget it ever happened. Liz Cheney, Kissinger, and focus on things that people freaking care about. Hey, you don't even talk about Ukraine anymore. Oh, you really cared about the babies dying over there and the pregnant mothers being bombed, didn't you? Really cared about that. Oh, we'll stay the course on that. Did you hear Zelensky today? She's really concerned because the West has lost interest. They don't care anymore. Well, of course they have. That's what we said on this show from the get-go. When they fuel this emotion, of course they're going to walk away from you when it gets tough. Volodymyr Zelensky, that's what these people do. You're no longer useful to them. It's not politically advantageous. Why? Because you got November coming up. You got the midterms coming up. They don't want the albatross of a war hanging around the Biden's neck. That's why he doesn't talk about it anymore. Suddenly politics is more important than your dying kids. You know, the truth will set you free, but first it'll make you miserable. And that's the miserable truth. Okay. I'm ready for the onslaught. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Laura, I'm going to put you on the line. Karen, if you can call in. Rod, Leslie, I'm ready. I can take it. I love you. And you disagree with me, but I hope you stay because let's make this show special. I just said what I believe, and I'll never close the telephone lines or the email lines to you because you made it believe differently. This is Alan Autrey, No Retreat. We'll be right back. Oh, I should take this opportunity, too, to talk about I made a few jokes concerning the Pope and got a little criticism on that. Gosh darn it. We got to find a way to laugh through the tears. I did not disrespect the Pope. He had a knee injury. I simply said, Pope, put the old brace on, a Tom Brady brace on that, rub a little dirt on it, get out there like Pope John Paul would have, and you could be like Willis Reed, came out of halftime, in the NBA Finals back in the day. Those folks my age that follow basketball know what I'm talking about. The crowd went crazy. And I was pulling for the Pope. I was actually pulling for the Pope, not criticizing the Pope. From what I understand, the Pope's got a good sense of humor, too. Most of them have. They sit around and you know who taught me that? Billy Graham. When Billy Graham came to Fresno, we were all in a room with him. I was mayor at the time. And we had people, dignitaries. Everybody was just like looking at Graham. Graham. And when they would go around the room, because he wanted to hear about Fresno. And each one, about the first three, went, Billy, thanks for coming to Fresno. We don't know how much, what an honor this is. And you'd see Billy kind of fidget a little bit. So after about the third or fourth person that said that, Billy said, thank you. It's an honor to be here. It's really an honor. But what do you need in Fresno? Tell me more about Fresno. He did, and he made a little joke. I forget what it was, but it was like, quit fawning over me. I'm not God. Very and it was just such a unique. I got a chance to talk to him, and I was able to give my testimony at the stadium as well. But big lesson there. I mean, folks that are really very adored leaders many times don't see themselves, first of all, worthy of the adulation. And they want you to treat them normally, with respect, as you should treat anybody with respect. But, don't go overboard.
1 minute.
Boy, I found you better tread carefully. Talk about the Pope. But I'm on the Pope's side. Pope, you get well. Pope Francis, my thoughts and prayers are with you, and you're back at it in no time. But I still would recommend that Tom Brady. I just get in trouble again. Yeah, Jose's not here. Alan Autrey, and boy, okay, let's go to the phone lines. We got Laura Fisher, and the note says input on the Friday show. Are you there, Miss Laura. Are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, she's there. She's there. Man, I tell you, I feel like an Okie Pinata. I got my butt whooped on Friday's show. What's your thoughts?
Well, okay, first of all,
I'm going to get whooped again.
I think that Trump did have some complicity in a lot of bad things. Mm-hmm. I do. I don't disagree with that. Mm-hmm. However, let the DOJ handle that. They're still investigating this. They have not concluded anything yet, Alan. They're still investigating. Let them do it. This January 6th committee is never going to change anyone's mind.
Right.
It's a fact. I'm sorry. We're too polarized in this country. This has been okay, they did their little investigation. They got their subpoenas. They got the text messages. They got all those things. They turned it all over to the DOJ.
Yeah. I'm with you, Laura. I'm with you. And Laura, I'm glad you mentioned. Go ahead.
Spend all this money. You're only appealing to the people who already believe it.
Yes.
The people who do not believe this, who are Trump cultists, they are never, ever going to believe it. They're not. And that's the way it is. And I know I've talked to people who've argued, well, maybe if nobody that doesn't believe it is going to watch this thing. They're not.
And
so be done with it.
Yeah, that's my position exactly. Look, if the DOJ finds a real smoking gun, they can show the smoking gun email, and that email is really smoking, like a gun smoke. It's smoking. Hey, they find out he knew this was going to happen. He knew violence was going to happen. He pushed it to happen, and they find that, hey, I'm all for it. That guy shouldn't run again, ever. I have no problem saying that.
I have my own reason why I don't think Trump should have run.
Well, no, but I know.
You said he handled dictators. He got rolled by Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, okay, but let's stay here. Let's stay. Let's
played by Putin.
Let's stay
by every dictator. Why? Because he has a huge weakness, and it's his ego.
Yeah, but let's stay here with let's stay with this thing if we could.
Kruger effect.
Let's stay with this though if we can, because and we can go into those other areas. We don't have limited time because we can't do the other subjects. Well, because I'd love to go on. Was he a success at foreign policy or a colossal failure? I'm ready to go in that, but we really don't have time. I don't want to kind of a la carte it a little bit, because no, seriously, I want to go there. I really do, and analyze this, because I think we should, because there's the Republican Party has to make a decision whether it's going to be, as you call him, Ron DeSatan, or it's going to be Trump. It's going to be the Virginia governor who's in the national discussion now. They got to make a decision who they're going to get behind. But this whole thing, again, I'm with you 100%. This January 6th thing, people see through it. They're saying to Liz Cheney and all of the Democratic Party, don't you see these other issues? Get gun control. That's they have some gun control new laws. It looks like there's bipartisan agreement. Go there. Hit inflation.
Okay. Well, real quick, with the January 6th, one thing that I fault Kevin McCarthy on, Kevin McCarthy deliberately picked two people for that committee that he knew were under investigation. Instead of just throwing a tantrum like a 5-year-old, that's him and Pelosi's, both of them's problems. I can't play with you if you don't do what I want. That's how both of them act. McCarthy should have chosen two other Republicans instead of throwing a temper tantrum like a 2-year-old.
But why? Let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this, though. I wouldn't tell Nancy Pelosi who you need to pick. That's her responsibility. Nancy Pelosi, I may not agree with Liz Cheney. I knew she had an agenda, but that's Nancy Pelosi's prerogative as the speaker. Kevin McCarthy's job as the leader of the Republican party there. I shouldn't tell him. We shouldn't tell him. We don't have to tell him, though. You need to pick this person and that person. The party will push back. He gets to pick whoever he wants to. That's the point.
But you can't put two people who are under investigation.
Well, look at Adam Schiff. What's Adam Schiff doing in there? Adam Schiff said he had evidence that Trump colluded with the Russians. He lied. There was he never had. Yeah, but he lied. He's under investigation by the American people because he lied right to us. He never had that information. All he is one Republican administration from being indicted. He's just one Republican administration from being indicted because we know he lied. Because you know what? The Mueller report said he lied. The Mueller report came out said Adam Schiff never had.
He couldn't be on it.
Robert Mueller said Adam Schiff never had any information. He flat out lied. Why do you put a known liar on the commission? It's her prerogative. I'm not going to complain. You want to put a known liar on there? Go do it. But you're going to lose the trust of the people, just like McCarthy made. But they have the authority to do that. But let me ask you this, though, Laura. We got just a little bit of time left. When they say, and we need to discuss, this is bigger than one show, obviously, because a very big thing is January 6th. Is made into one. It's there. It's the big elephant, one of the elephants in the room, whether people see it or not. The DOJ, Trump has been accused, you subverted justice, you subverted democracy. Well, in terms of his problems that he had and concerns he had and the accusations he made towards the election being rigged, he went first to the DOJ. They said, nah, nothing there. He went to the state legislatures, which he had the prerogative to do as president. That's not subverting democracy. That's in keeping. He went to the courts, lost his butt on everything, but that's democracy. And then he went to every legal recourse that he had. Then he gave up. Now, he's still saying it was fixed, but he went through. How can that be subverting democracy when you go through the proper democratic channels to challenge an election, when you have Hillary Clinton telling Joe Biden, if you lose, never concede? You have Stacey Abrams still saying that the Georgia election was rigged, but somehow they get off scot-free. But this president, who went through the whole process, the democratic process of challenging an election, he thought he saw these things. I don't like it. The COVID rules with all the drop boxes everywhere. This is an election like we've never had before because of COVID. It was just willing to everyone. I have some concerns. No, I'm just putting it on the table for discussion.
I know,
so he says.
But here's
so
the
where
problem.
did that
Here's
subvert democracy? Where did that subvert democracy? Where did his challenging the election subvert democracy?
Okay, well, here's the thing. Okay, first of all, I couldn't stop laughing when he was saying this, because let's be for real a minute. If you have an opportunity, you have one shot, you got one chance to actually steal an election. Why in God's name would you end up with a 50-50 split in the Senate and lose 6 seats in the House? You wouldn't. You would make sure that you stacked your deck, and you stacked your deck full and hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't buy that for 1 second. Never did, never will. Okay, but let's move on.
Okay, listen, we only got 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
The biggest blame for this is the media.
Yep.
They had all the final cuts in from one state. They had said to him, Mr. President, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. We're done. We're not talking about this anymore. And
I'm going to steal that one.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, think about it, Alan.
Yeah.
They literally were brainwashing people.
Yeah.
I can understand why some of those people, the guy dressed up like the shaman, he's not stable.
Right.
And when you sit in your mom's basement eating nothing but kale, watching that,
and then,
you're going to go bananas.
I understand what that does to the guy, the shaman with the horns, and I can also understand why the guy took the 9mm out in Simi Valley and went out in front of Kavanaugh's house and waiting for him to shoot him dead.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're right. It's on both sides. I agree with you. Hey, we're running out of time here, Laura. Let me tell you something though, and I'd like to make this point: is folks listening out there, and I'm speaking to most of Karen, Leslie, and other folks. Rod, Laura will be the first one to tell you we agree on a lot, but there's some we passionately disagree on subjects. But you know what? We still love each other. But we agree, and we talk it out. I think the world of Laura. I think she kind of likes me. I like her. That's what life's all about. Yes, be like that. Don't walk away. I'm not just trying to save viewers. I want you as part of Aury's army. Doesn't mean you lockstep like we just talked about, like the guy that picks the 9mm or the shaman. That's not with this show. We want you to be critical thinkers. Think for yourself. Do your own research like Laura does. We may come up to different conclusions, but we'll respect and love one another. That's what I hope of the show. And Laura, you've been a great example of that because, you've disagreed, and I mean passionately, but, you still watch the show, listen to the show, and make great points like you just did. You made a great point there. And I'm sitting there nodding going, hey, that's a good point. I never thought about that in that regard. It may not change my position, but it gives me something to think about. And that's how America got where, its greatest era, when we were championing that critical thinking. We were bipartisan and not in this poisonous atmosphere we're in now. Laura Fisher, thank you so much. Lane, I see you holding on there. We'll get you tomorrow. God bless you. God bless America. And just remember this, folks. Whatever you face, just do your best and let God do the rest. He's in control, and that's all he expects of you. So that's all you should expect of yourself. Do your best, let God do the rest. We'll see you tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Bye-bye now.